souls on fire.
Let's try this out. All right, there we go. Welcome, everybody, to the debut episode of The Intermission with myself, Rich Rockwell. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Patrick and the People Network. We're going to talk about some wrestling news and have some fun. We'll start off introducing everybody. Way on my far right, we have Ricky Nooner, local official of 15 plus years at least. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I've been looking forward to this ever since you said, hey, let's do this. I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Yes, sir. Well, glad to have you here. And sitting directly next to me, the co-host, my co-host of The Intermission, Mike Eugene from Dad's After Dark.
What's up, guys? I wasn't planning on being here, but I got kind of blackmailed into it. So I'm here.
And commentator for Vapors Championship Wrestling. The commentator. I like it. And to my left, local stand-up comedian and wrestling fan, Eugene Belcourt. Thanks for joining us, man. And we remember having you back at Ark and Brawl when you helped out on commentary with JP Ford. And yeah, man, we were talking about that earlier. Man, it was great having y'all out there. Yeah, man, absolutely. Are you feeling low today? Is the chair messed up? Yeah. Yeah, no good. No good.
Which one's the one?
Let's see. Go ahead and say something. Like that. Right? Oh, yeah. I was trying the buttons earlier. They wouldn't work. All right. So, debut episode. This is going to be fun. Yeah, man. All right, cool. This is exactly what I expected this to be.
Getting all the bugs out right now.
Right. Absolutely. So, hey, we're going to cover over a little bit of news here. We touched on this a minute ago, and y'all just about jumped out of your chairs. So, we're going to dive right into this one. I caught a article the other day. Bully Ray came out and said, you got to feel bad for Randy Orton with his return.
You ain't got it, but you can. Mm-hmm. I mean, that being said, Randy Orton kind of gets the short end of the stick when it comes to his returns, but if he would just stop getting injured, he wouldn't have to worry about it. He's injured all the damn time now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the last time he came back at, was it War Games, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. His most recent time was Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, but Elimination Chamber, and the one before that was at was it Survivor Series?
I believe, yes.
Yeah. So Survivor Series, he got overshadowed by CM Punk, and then this last week he got overshadowed again by a giant heel turn that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, we can dive right into that. The John Cena heel turn. Expected. I mean, this was something that was teased before.
But
so.
did you really expect it? Because I didn't.
No.
I didn't. I really didn't think they were ever going to pull the trigger on John. They waited 25 years, and all of a sudden, bam, we're gonna do it now.
Dude, childhood fucking ruined.
Go ahead and get up on that mic, man. Yeah, you're good. Get comfortable with it.
Childhood ruined, man. I've never would have expected John Cena to turn against just everything that he's done in the last 25 years.
Fair enough.
So, one of the things, though, gentlemen, that we have to remember, Vince McMahon's not running the show anymore.
This is true.
This is not Vince McMahon pulling that, because Vince McMahon almost, like, if you, John Cena did a podcast with Chris Fellett about a month or two ago, and one of the things he said was he almost turned heel the first time whenever him and The Rock were feuding the first time, and that was in 2012. And so that almost happened then. But Vince McMahon has always been very hesitant on pulling John Cena, just for the simple fact is that the merchandise sales are up, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, all the projects that John Cena's done for the WWE. And so I don't necessarily feel like this is a bad thing, because if you look at it, we've seen him do everything but turn heel. And if the only time in his actual wrestling documentary, if you want to put it that way, of him having any kind of a heel in WWE was when he was first doing house shows, and which that doesn't count. It's not live. So, but like in front of us, in front of the TV, yeah, it's beautiful the way it's beautiful the way they did it.
Well, I mean, wasn't back when he was Doctor of Thugonomics, even though it was over, wasn't that supposed to be a heel?
Supposed to be a heel run, but yeah, I mean, kind of along those same lines that Stone Cold was supposed to be a heel. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter if Stone Cold's a baby face or a heel. He's going to get over no matter what. It's just because of how. It's just because of how he presents himself.
And I remember the podcast he's talking about with the Insight with Chris Van Vliet. He was talking about he had a new singlet made, new music made. He had everything ready to go for a heel turn back when he was going to face The Rock at their first WrestleMania match.
Right.
And they just never pulled the plug on it, man, or pulled the trigger on it, I guess you would say, not the plug. Speaking of plugs, he needs hair plugs.
Yeah, and I before we kind of move on, I kind of want to touch on the Randy Orton thing as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, man.
I know
We're moving on. Sorry.
We got the hill over here
Right.
next to us. So,
Didn't you hear WWE cuts him? That was it, man. It was a 5-second.
exactly.
We mentioned it. We're done.
I'm a smartass. Just giving you a heads up.
No, you're good.
Yep.
So I feel like WWE as a whole has overshadowed these comebacks as it is. Because, Royal Rumble would have been a perfect opportunity for Orton to come back then versus coming back at Elimination Chamber. Due to the simple fact is everybody knew at that point John Cena was going to be in Elimination Chamber no matter what. Like everybody knew at that point John Cena was going to be in Elimination Chamber.
Right.
So I felt like he should have come back at Royal Rumble. Even if it would have just been him entering the Rumble, kicking Kevin's ass and throwing him over the ring, whatever the case may have been, that's what should have happened because his wasn't the only return that came back. Jade Cargill is the actual, and I know it's the women's industry is so much better now than what it used to be. Like it is
for sure,
it
without
is
a
so
doubt.
much better than what it used to be. But she is by far one of the most biggest talent names that are out there right now. And I'm not going to say that her return overshadowed it, but the story. Her story of how she left versus how his story ended was totally different. And so when you take that in consideration, plus John Cena's heel turn, I'm along you. I don't feel bad for him. You can feel bad for him, but at the same time, I just don't think Triple H and whoever else was behind the production of it, I don't think they planned it out very well for all these returns to come back all in one piece.
Yeah, it feels a little rushed for WrestleMania season, honestly, if you're asking me. I think you could have debuted them a little, I feel like we're using all these PLEs to bring people back. I mean, you can make a big return on Raw. It has the same impact. Netflix has got a huge audience now.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about that, sorry, go ahead, man. Oh, you're good. You're good. Speaking about that, another article I was just reading this morning, LA Knight beating Shinsuke Nakamura for the U.S. Championship. And people kind of saying, wait a minute. So obviously they don't have any plans for Shinsuke.
Yep.
Even talking about, hey, they might be getting ready to just write him off of WWE television altogether. There wasn't really a story build-up for him,
Well, and I again, going back to Insight with Chris Van Vliet, I was listening to his podcast the other day, and he was talking about Shinsuke Nakamura in the U.S. title, and there's no heat on it. They didn't get the return out of Shinsuke that they thought they were going to get. So he even called that probably that belt was going to go on someone else before WrestleMania. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Fatal 4-Way or a six-pack challenge or whatever at WrestleMania for the U.S. title.
Yeah.
The one thing that reminds me about Shinsuke, and maybe I'm wrong when I say this, because the dude has so much talent, it's not even funny. Like whenever he had Rick Boogs as his little electric guitar playing gimmick going on and everything like that, that's when he really got over as a babyface. That's when he was getting over. But Shinsuke reminds me a lot of, and I know it's two totally different situations, but y'all remember Ted DiBiase Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever him
Teddy.
over in Legacy. Y'all remember whenever they split Legacy up, they could not find nothing for him to do, and that's why he's out of WWE, and he's doing marvelous things now in his ministries and everything like that. And, happy for him. But Shinsuke is somewhat along the line. They don't know what to do with him because his character is just so different from what we're used to seeing as a WWE audience. And so, and I'm just going to be honest with you, AEW's not going to help him.
No.
AEW's not going to help him at all. So I think the best thing for him to do, New Japan. Maybe go on the road, go back to New Japan, because that's how he got over to begin with. And so New Japan would love to have him back. So I think you're going to probably see him go back to New Japan before too long.
Well, and I think part of the problem is they get lost. WWE has this tendency to think that every person, every wrestler has to have an amazing character. Sometimes they're just a wrestler.
Yeah.
Shinsuke, he's fine. He's a great wrestler. He can just be a wrestler.
I mean, he was popular at one time. Like, I remember, watching as soon as that, violin note would hit, man, that crowd would explode.
But the thing is, though,
but they never pulled the trigger.
Right.
When they
Exactly.
should have.
And you also have to understand, and you understand this as a promoter, when you can't pair him with somebody consistently, what do you do with him?
Right.
And that's where they're at right now. It's not that he doesn't have the talent.
Right.
It's not that he doesn't have a great character. They don't know what to do with it.
I mean,
I'm the same one. Like, I thought the LA Knight segment, him and the LA Knight's feud was great. It was grand and terrific. But then I'm scratching my head. I'm thinking, well, what's going to be next for him when this feud's over with?
I would say, as you mentioned it, as a promoter, from a promoter side, that has to be the number one most frustrating thing, is when you see somebody that has all that talent as a wrestler, but you cannot teach them charisma.
No.
You can't teach them how to have a personality and connect with the audience.
No, and that's the big thing with WWE, because you have such a big audience. It's the biggest audience in wrestling is WWE. If you can't find a connection with the audience, you're not going to be there, and that's just his biggest thing. It's just the way. It's just his charisma, like you said, is in connecting with the audience.
Robbie Shirley just is online here, and also, just want to point out, hey, Carrie, what's up? Thanks for joining. Thank you, Tiffany Holt, Chad, and Keith, what's up, Caden? Thank you all for tuning in for the debut episode of The Intermission. Robbie Shirley says the $100 man says we can kiss his butt.
You know what? I think somebody on this panel gave him that nickname. I don't remember who it was.
I think it was...
I have nothing but respect for the Rob father. unless he's not listening.
I was going to say, did some Rob Father Mafia members come and knock on your door or something, man?
Speaking of Rob Father, and I'm so glad that y'all brought him up. So the night of Elimination Chamber, of course, we had a show here.
Yeah.
And upstairs we had the show going on the entire time, thanks to Shane Bridges for bringing us TV and everything.
Absolutely.
Like that. And so we were able to catch the action and everything like that. When that segment happened, Rob Father's daughter Abigail started crying because she loves John Cena so much. She did not want it to happen. And then Monoxide was up there with us, and the shock, he had this deer in the headlights look, and I swear he had that look going for 20 to 30 minutes. It was just so awesome. And I'm texting my brother, I'm trying to text people, I'm like, oh my gosh, this just happened, but it's like, man, because like you could, like, seriously, if now I'm just saying that, like, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen.
Right.
But I'm just saying in general, Rich, had we announced to our audience that night that John Cena had a heel turn, we would have had to cancel the show, the rest of the show. There would have been no more matches. We would have been done. I mean, it was just such a great moment in my lifetime. I'm like, in my lifetime, other than Hogan's heel turn, which I was a kid when that happened, so I don't necessarily remember that. But in my lifetime, this is one of the most shocking things I've ever seen.
Well, and I'm glad you said, moment, because that's what wrestling is all about. Now, I mean, we all go back and we look. We all remember important matches and fantastic 5-star matches. But wrestling to us is about moments. Like, I remember Austin driving a monster truck into the arena.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I remember him.
I remember the Zamboni.
The Zamboni. Putting cement and Vince
the Corvette, yeah.
Wrestling is about moments. And like you said, with the Hogan heel turn, I watched that live. I was watching Bash at the Beach when that happened. And this moment with John Cena, I mean, I guess we're diving into the heel turn.
I mean, yeah, why not?
Yep, that's a moment. That's, this is 20 years coming.
Right.
And wrestling is about moments. You'll look back 20 years from now and you'll remember that moment.
Oh, for sure. And speaking about that, actually, I also heard today that WWE is releasing all of the WCW episodes,
on
pay-per-views.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, man.
That's
good.
So, I was a WCW mark back
Were
then.
you?
I
never was. I grew up WWF, WWE.
During that whole run, okay, so I really got into, because I was a teenager, I really got into WCW. And then WWF, I would record it on VHS in another room.
There you go.
And so me and my buddy, we would watch 3 hours of Nitro, and then we watched 2 hours of Raw right after. And so we didn't miss a thing, man. But we weren't one of those that went back and forth on the channel. We weren't doing all of that.
Yeah. Eugene had to run, but we do want to thank him for joining us. So
thanks.
He said he had something pop up, but yeah. Yeah, man, I remember though, and you were talking about it going into John Cena's heel turn, and I figure it's just a good time to bring it up now. And I do have a couple of opinions about it, but the heel turn, obviously now we know he's going against Cody Rhodes for the championship. Do they let him break the record?
That's a good question, because I don't know where this is going. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Let me gather mine, because I honestly don't know.
So here's the thing. Before John Cena came back, and he announced, I'm going to retire, this is going to be it.
Right.
Now, let's take this and let's take this. You have John Cena, the human, who is just like us, who his person got a great personality, everything like that. Then you have John Cena, the character. So I want to talk about John Cena, the person. I don't know he wants to, and that's the big thing is does he want to, and because it's all going to come down to him. Eric Bischoff said it perfect whenever he announced his retirement. Eric Bischoff said that John Cena will lose his final match, regardless, because that's the way that John Cena is. He is all about giving back to the WWE.
Yep.
So I am not going to sit here and say that they're not going to do it, but there's a possibility that they're going to. And so, like I said, I don't know. I have this feeling that they're going to. I have a feeling they're going to, and I think, and this is the reason why I say this. Remember last year's WrestleMania? Who lost last year? Roman Reigns did. Who was in Roman Reigns' corner? The final boss.
Right.
This time, the final boss has pulled another card, and this time I think the final boss gets over. And then you have the final boss versus Cody Rhodes next year's WrestleMania. That could possibly be a storyline that they're going to point to. It would make perfect sense if they do it that way.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, do they want to pull the trigger? Because Ric Flair, even though I don't count a lot of Ric Flair's championships. I'm sorry. I understand that the NWA was big back then, but it's not near as big as what WWE has been. Even in John Cena's time, it wasn't as big as what it was even during John Cena's time. So I'm not all keen on Ric Flair having the record. But it's like everybody says, all good things must come to an end. Records are made to be broken. And this is a record that's been long overdue. If there's anyone in the industry in the last 30 years that I would say that deserves this push, it would be John Cena.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm with you. I think the only way that it makes sense for John Cena to break that record is as a heel. I don't think a babyface John Cena was going to get that record.
No.
I really don't. But I think there's a long-term storytelling here, and I think the idea of The Rock and Cody next year at WrestleMania makes a ton of sense. You have John Cena win at WrestleMania this year. Cody fights and claws and gets it back. Let's say at Survivor Series. That's November, right?
Yeah.
And then John Cena has his final match in December.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I got a feeling John Cena will go out as a babyface.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll go out as a babyface.
But he'll be a heel in November and then turn around a month later and be a babyface and then lose that final match. Or I would not.
I like it.
I wouldn't be shocked to see John Cena win that final match, but I feel like it'll be against Randy Orton at the end of the year.
And someone else brought up something to me the other day. What if they carry this on to next year's WrestleMania? What if John Cena decides, as a heel John Cena, he's not going to retire?
That's a perfect heel move.
What if he goes to next year's WrestleMania? Because to me, when you are a big name like John Cena, you want to go out on the grandest stage of them all. And everybody knows the grandest stage of them all is WrestleMania. Everybody, anybody that knows anything about wrestling, they know that WrestleMania is the grandest stage of them all. Why not go out on the grandest stage?
You know what?
Yeah.
That thought had never crossed my mind, but a heel John Cena reneging on his word, that makes a lot of sense. Saying, I'm going to finish up the year, blah, 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 but then not, and then be like, no, I'm sticking around a little while longer.
Right? I mean, that's
great. It's a great way to do it.
That's a great heel move. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't disagree with you that makes a lot of sense.
I would love it if it happened. I ain't going to lie to you. I would love it.
Another thing that I've seen, too, that people have been talking about, this Rock and John Cena alliance that they've got going on, are they going to try to use that platform to build up a younger heel and maybe include them, maybe stable-like? I think it's a good platform to bring somebody else along and boost them up to the main event spotlight. I don't know who that is. But
that's what I was going to say. Do you have anybody in mind?
The only one that makes sense to me is Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, people already freaking hate him. I don't know that he needs it, though.
Yeah.
He already has it all. No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't benefit him at all. Or
I will tell you one who will benefit. You may disagree with me. Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio is Eddie Guerrero 2.0.
Oh, for sure.
I'm telling you right now, the kid has so much talent. It's more of his talent is not necessarily in the ring. It's more of that connecting with the audience type deal. But could you imagine even him? Or I mean, you could try doing Austin Theory again because Austin Theory was, Vince McMahon's chosen guy to be the next heel, whatever it is, and he's been kind of in the back shades of it.
Yep.
So I mean, they could go in so many directions and everything like that. But I wouldn't disagree with you either.
I think using the rub to build somebody else up is the right way to go about it. I mean, The Rock's not a full-time guy. John Cena's got a year left in him. They need to use this platform to push somebody else into that spotlight. I don't know who, but
Rob Father is saying on Facebook that when y'all were up there watching that, he was the one that called it, said it was going to happen, and nobody believed it.
He did call that. He did call it. He's like, I told y'all it was going to happen.
even if he didn't call it, he would claim it. I guarantee it.
So we were talking about that, moments and everything earlier, and I do want to, touch base on some other news too, just going around the area and local promotions and things like that. We don't all want to just be focused on the big leagues, even though I know it is the thing to talk about and the easiest.
We got time for that.
Absolutely.
Well, this isn't a one-off show.
No, not at all. But what was that first moment? Not maybe the moment you remember, but that first moment that you can remember that really got you started watching it. Like for me, I didn't even really know what I was watching. I just knew it's what my granddad was watching. It's what my dad was watching. I'm chilling with the guys of the boys, and we're watching wrestling.
Well, I can tell you for me, it was WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior. I rented that at the Sky Dome in Toronto. I rented that VHS more times than I can remember. That VHS right there, I had no idea what wrestling was. That VHS led to the next VHS and the next VHS. I was watching all the Royal Rumbles, all the WrestleManias. That's what hooked me in as a kid and led me into when I was a teenager to really, in the Attitude Era.
Right.
I was already hooked at that point. So that was my moment.
Yeah.
So, growing up as a kid, I knew about wrestling.
Right.
My uncle, he's still a fanatic, been a fanatic for years. My moment did not come until I was in college.
Okay.
And this was right before, this was the fall of 06. I met a guy, still friends with him to this day. His name is Larry Stepter. And he kind of nicknamed himself Larry the King Stepter. And the reason he nicknamed himself was because Jerry Lawler is his favorite wrestler of all time.
Okay.
And a lot of that is because Larry has connections in Memphis. He's a Memphis guy through and through. And he actually coaches middle school basketball in Memphis. He has 2 semi-professional basketball teams that are out of Memphis. So he's very, very busy when it comes to the basketball. Just kind of like I am with basketball and everything like that. So he was the one that really got me into it because in the back of the dorm, in the back room, we had this living room area in the back of the dorm.
Right.
And where I went to college, which was Williams Baptist College, which is now Williams Baptist University. And so I was one of those because, like I said, kid, watching it with my uncle and everything like that, I'm like, oh, that's the F word. And the F word for wrestling fake is not the F word that you think it is. But the F word in wrestling is, that's what I said. And it's a sin to say the F word in wrestling. So I'm just telling y'all that right now, that it's a sin. But I was that type of guy. I started watching it with him. And this was right around the time that John Cena was going into his feud with the Great Khali in 06.
Okay.
This is right around the Last Stand.
I don't know how anybody could forget that.
There was. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm just saying because like at the time, the Great Khali was this big. Y'all have seen him at 7 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude was.
I've met him. He's massive.
That dude's massive. I remember going to a show, watching him get in a minivan. He went inside a minivan. The minivan went from here to the ground. It was like it was a lowrider minivan. I swear, y'all, it happened. It was right here down the road at Verizon in Little Rock. I will never forget it until the day that I die. But anyway, that was right around the time I started getting into it. And then right after that, because John had the title for a while, he started. It wasn't too long after that. I think it was. I want to say it was 07 is when he started feuding with Randy Orton. And my very first WWE show that I went to was Unforgiven in 2007. Me and a buddy of mine went there.
Okay.
And so that was probably right around my moments when I went to college because I've kept up with it ever since.
You good over there, Mikey?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure things out.
Oh, okay.
I don't particularly like where my microphone's at. But I can't quite figure out how I like it. I don't like doing this.
Oh, yeah. I can, that'd be, yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
So-
I'll get it figured out.
Was being an official just something that you kind of stumbled upon? Was it
So glad
something
you-
that always interested you? I mean,
So glad you brought that up because it kind of blends into how I became a fan to begin with.
yeah, man.
So, like I said, I knew about wrestling even going into college. I knew about wrestling. I knew nothing about the Indies. Knew nothing about them. I knew about Memphis. I knew Memphis wrestling because Jerry. The King
Okay.
I knew that.
Right,
That was
right.
the only thing I knew. And so, so going up to college because I went to Williams Baptist, which is in Walnut Ridge. So back then, you had to take the Newport Highway and go through Tuckerman, which in Tuckerman you have ASWF. I don't know
Right.
if they still call it that, but I remember seeing that, and I'm like, do they actually do wrestling there? Because, like I said, I'm a DA at this point. I have no idea what they do with wrestling or any. I didn't know there was independent wrestling or anything like that. So I'm like, goodness gracious. So when I got into it, when I started watching wrestling and everything like that, me and some buddies of mine were like, we got to go down there to Tuckerman sometime and watch a show. Just because I knew they back then they promoted it. I think it was on Saturdays at like 6 or 7 or something
Okay.
like that. And so. So it was about 2008. It might have been early 2009. I actually ran into somebody that
Hit him with a car, head on.
I actually ran into somebody who we all know very well, Rich, the authentic Ray Ivy.
Oh, yes, sir.
I met Ray Ivy. He was working at a gas station in Newport back then, and I kind of a few months ago I shared this story with him, and because I asked him, I'm like, dude, you work at this random gas station in Newport? Because at the time I was going to college, and I'd just gotten married. And we were no, I wasn't married at that point. I'm sorry, I wasn't married at this point. But we were. I was working in Newport, and I stopped at this gas station all the time. And there was a promotion. There was a flyer up that there was going to be wrestling in Newport. And I just went there. I started asking questions like, "Hey," I asked him any question that any kind of young fan would ask. Do y'all really hit each other? Do y'all really do that? And Ray would give me straight up answers. He'd like, dude.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, dude, we take a lot of bumps, and he's like, I've got friends of mine. We will beat the crap out of each other just because we can, and we can get away with it too. And so anyway, just kind of, and he's like, dude, you ought to come to this show. And well, I didn't get to go to the show because I had to work. But it was still awesome. That's one of those random times in my life that I'm like, that was one really cool dude. And so, and then now that I get to work with him many years later, it's a small world.
Right.
Because now I see him at least once, twice a month, depending on the month and everything like that. But anyway, going in between shows and everything like that. So, so my buddy and I, so I was married. So I was married at this time. A buddy of mine, who's also big in wrestling, we took our wives to a show at Tuckerman, and when I saw it at first, I'm like, okay, let's see how this really is. And there was a ton of talent there, and I will never forget. They had a hardcore match. I think his name was Bobby Roode or something like that. He was a bald-headed guy, really young guy, and the guy that was the hardcore champion at the time. He actually retired. That was his retirement match, and he hit Bobby in the head with thumbtacks. He had thumbtacks stuck in his head, and everything they were doing though, like it looked legit. It looked really, really good, and they were telling stories with it and everything like that. And one of the most talented guys that I've ever seen in the Indies, Austin Lane. And I'm still a huge Austin. I loved watching him wrestle. He's such a great guy. The last I heard, he was running it, but I don't know if he's running it up there anymore or not. And so take it. So I know nothing about the Indie still at this point.
Right.
I'm starting to learn still. This is 3-4 years later. I'm still starting to learn. I know about Ring of Honor at this point. I know about OVW. I'm starting to get into it. But I had no idea there were Indies in Arkansas. And so that same buddy, a few weeks later, came up to me. He's like, hey, I just found out they're doing a wrestling show over in Hoxie. And so let's go over to Hoxie and see what they're doing over here. I said, okay.
He's making these damn names up.
No.
I don't think these towns actually exist.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Hey, seriously.
Out of control wrestling in
Out of control
Hoxie?
wrestling in
Dude.
Hoxie, yes.
In Hoxie?
In Hoxie.
Hoxie?
Hoxie.
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 Yes.
It's about a 3-hour drive, but yeah.
Golly.
And so it's on up there. But anyway, so Hoxie and Walnut Ridge could technically be one town. It will never be because you have too many politicals who are like, I hate you, Walnut Ridge. Well, we hate you too, Hoxie. They could because and that's the thing. There's no space in between these towns whatsoever. You run straight into them.
Oh, yeah.
And so my college course was in Walnut Ridge, and so we drive a 10-minute drive from the college over at OCW, and so the wrestling was at the time. The wrestling itself, they didn't have the talent as far as in-ring talent goes compared to ASWF.
Right.
But they connected with the audience more than what ASWF did back then. And so the owner of OCW back then, his name was Mike Day. And Mike's not, I don't think Mike's doing anything anymore. The last I heard, he wasn't. And so so the very next week, I went back-to-back shows. And the second week, I went up to Mike during an intermission. Did not know he was the head of promotion or anything like that, but I'm like, hey, how do you get into this stuff? And he goes, man, we're always looking for people to help out and everything like that. He's like, it doesn't pay anything, we'll feed you and everything like that. But if you're willing to put in the time and everything like that, he's like, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'd love to wrestle, but the problem is, I was going to graduate that very next May, and I'm like, I won't be able to put time and effort into developing a character, developing in-ring experience, things like that.
Right.
I said, but I would love to be a referee because the background of me, I was a basketball referee up until this year, from 06 up until this year. This year I hung it up because I'm coaching. Now I'm not officiating basketball anymore. I still do football. I've done football the last 3 seasons. Love doing football. By the way, we need officials in Arkansas, by the way. So anybody that's listening to this, if you want to be an official, they need officials for football, basketball, and I know for a fact they need officials for wrestling. I don't have time to do wrestling. It's in the middle of basketball season. So anyway, I have a referee background as it was. So it's like, okay,
He already had the shirt. He was set.
Right.
I was set because at the time, seriously though, at the time, they actually, the state of Arkansas used the black and white referee shirts, the old black and white ones.
Right.
Of course, they don't do that anymore because there
was an athletic commission at one point over
yes,
wrestling.
yes, and and that's the thing. So at the time, the wrestling commission at the time existed.
Right.
And so I had to pay. I think it was like $25. I think what it
Yeah,
was. That's
it
all
was
I had to
something,
pay.
yeah.
That's all I had to pay to him, and because he was like, "Hey, man, because if the commission comes in and we're not, doing this, and this, we had to totally shut it down." And so, but that's how I got into it. It's just a simple conversation with a simple guy. Great guy, by the way. I think he ended up giving it. I can't remember who's. I know from the last I heard, Jamie Heinzman is running it now, or he's the one that's doing the booking. And then the character Laser and Slam at one point were actually running the background of it. So I don't know exactly what's going on right now, which I'm trying to get. I'm actually trying to get a hold of them because I would love to go and do at least one more show before I give it. Because, go back and give it to the ones who trained you, the ones who build you up and everything like that. And I would love to go back to OCW and do one show.
Right.
And so, but that's how I got into it, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I actually got to do a lot of fun things with them while I was with them, and so I'll never forget I actually had a storyline once with one of their characters. They called him Fruitylicious, and so he was he was funny. He came out in pink. I mean, he came out in pink. He did the ladylike wrestling and everything like that. He was a great character, and so, but yeah, like I said, it was a fun time for me, and so yeah, that's how I got into it.
Man, that's a. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I got a question along those lines,
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, you said you've been doing it for what, 15 years?
Yes.
All right, so, excuse me. I'm always curious about referees. So, not to get too far into the business itself, but when you're refereeing a match, how much do you know in advance? And what exactly is your job throughout the match? That's what I'm really curious about, because I know it's different on the indie scene than what you would see on television, obviously. I'm just real curious what an indie referee, what a normal night is like for you.
So it depends. If I'm the only referee, typically the only thing I'm going to know is who's going over, and so.
But do you know when?
No. I will say this much. Because I've done it so long.
If you don't kick out, it's over.
No,
that does happen.
Hey, that does happen. I'm glad you brought that up because it happened last July at a show that we did in Hot Springs, and he still hasn't kicked out. I've watched the video. I couldn't tell you how many times. It was a tag team match, and I knew. Because that's the thing. When you've done it as long as I have, you know about when the finish is going to be. Because there are times that there are certain cues that you have to give them, and then there are just times you just let them go until they're done. And sometimes I don't even know when it's going to happen. But as a veteran, you know when it's about time to go to the finish. You actually know about when it's time. This particular tag team, all they did was a simple clothesline. It wasn't one of those JBL clotheslines. It was just a simple clothesline. And I knew he was supposed to kick out. He still hasn't kicked out. And I counted 3, and I'm like, I know that. And I'm like, I hope he didn't kick, because I didn't see him kick out, because the angle where I was at. So the stage was, the way the ring had to be set up, because it was such a low ceiling, the lighting kind of glared off my glasses a little bit. And so it was kind of hard to see at times. And the angle that he was at, it was somewhat hard to see because I was somewhat blinded by this light. But when I counted 3, his shoulder was on that mat. I knew damn good and well his shoulder was on that mat. When it was said and done, he confronted me about it. And I'm like, dude, you did not kick out. Like, you did not kick out. That is on you. That is on me. Oh, you didn't count the 3, or you didn't give me the 3 count. I said, no, dude. My 3 count is usually the exact same as if I'm going to the finish. And that's just how it is. And so I'm glad you said that, though, because that times it does happen. So,
not to interrupt you, but along
you're good.
Along those lines, I hate it on television when the referee knows that it's not supposed to be a 3 count, and they come down and they just miss the mat completely, and the guy still hasn't kicked out. That irritates the fire out of me.
So
I know that's not on the referee, that's on the talent, but that still pisses me off to this day.
Yeah,
anytime I see that.
And so I'm along the lines of Michael Cole, because like Michael Cole has come out. He came out in the podcast. I think it was with Logan Paul, actually. And he said he doesn't want to know what happens. He wants to keep it as legit as possible in his mind.
Oh yeah.
And so
Same. That's the same really for me on commentary. Like if I'm at a promotion and I'm doing commentary, I don't want to know who's going to go over.
Yeah,
exactly.
Same.
I understand it's a predetermined, but I would rather have that natural reaction that I'm going to be able to portray.
Yeah.
Than,
Well, like I told them at the last show, I told some of the wrestlers we talked beforehand. I said, look, I want to know if you've got a name for your finisher, if you've got something you want me to get across. I said, but I don't want to know anything else.
absolutely.
I just want to react.
Right. Absolutely.
So, but I'm glad you brought that up, because when I don't know who's going over, I get a little nervous. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to count the 3 count and me completely screw it up. Because if let's say
Because that match may be leading to a further storyline.
Right.
And the winner of that match means a big deal to them.
Here is one of my biggest pet peeves in wrestling, and I'm dead serious when I say this. It's the rollovers, where they come under and just kind of roll them over, because it's so hard to kick out on. Even if it's so hard to kick out on. So if they're rolling them over and I'm giving them a 3 count, well, oh my gosh, what it's like, oh crap, they weren't supposed to go over. And so I don't want to be caught up in that situation, and thank God I haven't been. But we had a show last year. I did a show last year at IPCW. One of the best matches I think I've ever seen in my life. It was a brother versus brother. It was Texarkana Jones versus Triple J. And they're, like I said, big brother, little brother. And they did a stunt. They did a segment under the ring where Texarkana Jones was handcuffed. But here's the thing: I was the only referee that night, so I did not know their finish. Well, he had come up right before the 10 count. And afterwards, they're like, I was supposed to stay in the ring. He's like, I was supposed to stay in the ring. I should have stayed in the ring a little bit longer than what I did. That was supposed to be the end of it. But nobody told me that. So if you're going to do a simple match, like if you're doing a simple, basic 15-minute match, just tell me who's going over. I don't care what your finish is. Just tell me who's going over. Because I'm going to take care of the rest. The theatrics that I do inside the ring, I don't do that. I don't do that for myself. I do that to let the wrestlers know you got a legitimate referee in here. I'm going to give you a loud count. If you're in the corner, I'm going to get into it for you. I'm going to pull you out when you want me to pull you out, even though I was trained not to. But as of late, there's wrestlers who are like, go ahead and pull me out. It's fine, because I don't like putting my hands on the wrestlers. That's one of the things it's like I'm not going to put my hand on the wrestlers. I don't like doing it. I don't care how big you are, how small you are. It's just one of those things, like I don't want to cross a certain line. And so, but a lot of them just like it. So here lately I've been putting my hands on wrestlers.
Well, I was going to say, as a fan, I like that. I think it's fantastic. Like, I remember Jericho does that a lot, where he'll push the referee and the referee will push him right back.
Right.
And then they'll continue on the match.
So like here's something, and that's something that's just a little bit different. And so I try to get into it for them. And it's like do I look good? Am I worried about myself looking good? Yes. but not for me.
Right.
I want it to look good for them, and most importantly, I want it to look good for the fans. I don't want to be one of those boring referees that doesn't get into it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be one of the. I want my 3 count to look legit. I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. I want to look like I've been in this business a long time. And so, like I said, not about me. It's about what we put on the product for our fans. And obviously the wrestlers.
Talk to me a little bit about ref bumps, because I've always been curious about ref bumps. How I hate it when it looks fake. I hate it when it doesn't
Yes.
look real. If you're going to take a ref bump and someone accidentally kicks you or clotheslines you or hits you, do you really want them to lay that in?
I want them to sell it, yes.
Okay.
So I'm glad you brought that up because
Have you ever been hurt on a ref bump?
No.
That's what I'm curious about too.
No, I've been hit in the head once. And it was it didn't hurt as bad as what you think it would, because the fact is that you just, when you know it's coming, it's a little different because you still have all that adrenaline built up going on because you're in the match, you're going all over the place and everything like that. Been kicked a couple of times that weren't as sewed in as what it should have been, but I would rather it look legit than anything. Now I will say this much. And I'm glad you brought that up. So, because this is when it's fun. So last October, TNR came down to do a show at the school that I'm at, Whitehall, and our head coach was all for it. And they're coming back in August, as a matter of fact. So I cannot wait. And so there was a segment in there that I did an RKO. It looked more like a diamond cutter, the one that old school diamond cutter. And one of the and I've never done this before, y'all. Like I've never done this before. And so I did a diamond cutter on Shane because he was in the segment with Ray Ivy and Triple J. They were the heels at the show, and so I did this diamond cutter on it, and then Ray super kicks me.
Okay.
So now did Ray connect? No. But I'm going to tell you something right now. It looks, and I'll show you the video when the show's over with, but it looks so legitimate. And the thing that made it more beautiful, when you look at the video, now it's hard to see in the video, but I had my glasses on. When he super kicked me, they flew off. When it was said and done, one of the teachers brought her son and a friend. And she's the head of our math department, and she sends me a text message. She goes, "I want to make sure you're okay. I want to make sure that you're okay." That's when it's beautiful.
That's when you know you did it well.
I'm laughing, and so I get, and this is why I say I want it to look legit, or at least if they're going to give me a bump, I want them to give me something.
Right.
Now, super kicks are different. But like I'm on the ground with Shane, and Shane goes, "Man, that was good, man." He goes, "Man, it was a little stiff," but he's like, "I would rather it to be a little stiff and look good. Me take a little stiffness and it look legitimate and good," because he's like, "I'd rather it be stiff than it not to be stiff.
Right.
I want it to look legit for the fans." And it's like, and whenever he told me that, I learned something that day. And so because I was really afraid that Ray was going to really kick, because Ray's a great wrestler, y'all, but he is terrific. He is one of the best in the indies that I've ever seen. And so when it was all said and done, not only did she text me, but the guys who picked me up, they were parents of a couple of dads of my players. They're like, "Man, he really kicked you," and I'm laughing. I'm like, "He didn't touch me." And so, but I'm glad you brought that up, because if I'm going to take a bump, super kicks are different, like I said. But if I'm going to take a bump, make it at least look legitimate, because I hate the fake crap myself. I hate it when the referee's inside the ring. Like when now I don't know. So like Big Show and Mark Henry, when they did their segment and they set up the ring to where the ring was actually going to, you could tell the referee faked all that.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that when they do that. Make it look legitimate. You are, regardless if you are a veteran like myself or a brand new official, everybody knows the referee is part of the show. Now, I'm not going to stand out in the show because that's not my job. My job is not to stand out in the show.
Right.
But if my job is to take a bump, that's when my cue is to stand out. That's when you know as a referee you have to stand out and make it look a good, legitimate, because you're trying to tell a story. And if I'm going to take a bump, let it make sense.
Yep.
If it doesn't make sense, don't give me a bump. I'm not going to take it. And so, and I'll be dead honest with you. I've told people that before. Like, why are you wanting me to take a bump? Well, we're wanting to do this. I'm like, does it make sense?
Yep.
And they're like,
I agree with that 1,000.
no, probably not. Then I'm not taking it. And I mean, and I don't say that to be a jerk, but I just say that in general because, like I said, if you're doing any kind of wrestling at all,
Right.
you're telling a story. Let the story make sense. The one thing I can't stand is, and I'm not talking about just being a referee, I'm talking about wrestling in general. If you're doing something that doesn't make sense, why do it?
Yep. Well, and I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and I think as far as referees go, referees in tag team wrestling they're essential. They're the epitome of what a referee does in a match can be defined in a tag team match. Because that's when, I mean, it's 5 players in that match that all have their job to do. And I love it when the referee plays such a part where the heels can get all that heat behind the referee's back. It's classic wrestling. I love that.
Now, the last tag team match I did, which was a couple Saturdays ago, or what was the last Saturday that we did the show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, last Saturday when we did the show. Ray Ivy, Triple J. Who was the tag team match that they faced? It was the QWO. I know it was Triple J and Ray Ivy. Who was that tag team that they had?
That was the River Valley
Rejects. Oh, the River, yeah, the Death Valley Rejects.
Death Valley Rejects, yes. And they were awesome.
Yeah, you're talking about
So listen, I'm going to be dead straight with y'all. I've done a lot of matches in my career. That's probably the best tag team match I've ever seen.
That was a beautiful, So
here, now, and I'm glad you brought that up. And here's the reason why I'm glad you brought that up. Because they did some hot tags. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It got to a point that I let it go. And I'm going to tell you why. They worked me like crazy. Listen, y'all. And I love being worked like that. I have not been worked like that in a very, very long time, and a lot of that was because I'm going
too.
Now, are we keeping this PG? I mean, just anyways, honey, if you're listening,
the buttons aren't working, man. I can't bleep anything out right now. So, Patrick, I need help.
So
send help.
Other than my wife,
these 4 guys worked me over real good.
Right.
Other than my wife, I have not been worked like that in a wrestling ring. And so,
where's the wrestling ring in your house? Is it in the bedroom?
Have y'all seen that? No, never mind. Never mind.
So, I was dog tired after that match. I was dog, and that was, I think that was my. No. I had the main event with the world title, but I'm glad I had a break in between because I'm like that was tough because it's real. And 2 things in wrestling. One, when you're the only referee, because I can count more times than not. But I've been the only referee the entire night.
I've announced some of those nights, and by the main event, he's like, "Dude, could you draw out your announcements just a little bit so I can catch a breath?"
Because that sucks. But I will tell you this much: after that match. They worked it over. But as far as like the hot tags and everything like that goes, because they did a lot of them, I got to a point where I'm like, I'm going to start letting these go because they were doing so much in so little time. And I'm not saying, because I'll just tell you, I knew who was legal. I'll tell you that. I knew who was legal. But it gets to a point where you let them be them. And then you just do what you can do. Because the last thing I'm going to do is say, "Oh, you're not the like." For example, if they're doing a pin, "Oh, you're not. I'm not getting down there. You're not the legal guy." You see what I'm saying? Why would you want to interrupt that? Especially when it was such a good match to begin with. Why would you want to interrupt that? And so I'm glad you brought that up because man, there are some tag teams that are out there. I'll tell you, I've had some very, very boring tag teams, some very, very boring ones that I can name. And
you hear what he said about you, Rob Father?
No, not Rob. Rob Father's not boring, y'all. I'm telling y'all, Rob Father's great, y'all. I love Rob Father. That's my guy right there. Y'all, you leave Rob Father alone. That's my guy right there. Anyway.
Is his check in the mail with that one, man? Is that by your next month of safety?
It's so anyway, but like I said, I've had some boring ones where they don't do a whole lot, and it's like. That's when you're like, okay, if it's the boring ones that they're not doing a whole lot to begin with, then I'm going to intervene. But if it's something like that, you don't intervene on that. And it's just because, like I said, you're getting into it. The audience is into it.
Right.
Probably, in my opinion, it was the best match of the night.
Oh, fantastic.
And so,
I agreed, 1,000%.
If it wasn't them, so that night, though the tag team match,
You're good, man. If you need to work on your mic or whatever.
No, I just.
It looked like the wheels were turning. I saw you.
Time out, real quick. Like, I can.
Time out.
My mic is weird because I know I'm peaking up here is what it's showing, and y'all can hear me just fine.
Yeah, you're sounding
For
good to me.
some reason, I can't hear myself very well.
Oh,
And
okay.
I don't know what. I hear you fine. I hear you fine. Can't hear myself. And that's a major issue because I'm the star.
I love this guy. I really do. I love this guy, man. So, if the tag team match I thought was the best match of the night. I thought it was the best match of the night. But I will give props to Monoxide and Archer because they had a great match. That was a great singles match. And so, because like I said, as a referee, you know when the matches are good. You know when they suck. And sometimes you just have to block out the ones that suck. Because if you get too many that suck, you get bored. And when you get bored, you don't want to do this anymore.
As a referee, have you ever been in there in a match that sucked and just told the guys, hey, guys, this sucks. Come on, let's go.
Let's wrap it. Let's take it. Yeah.
There was a match years ago that had an OCW.
We need names. Come on, call them out.
I will call. I don't remember.
Could have him showing up outside the door like, what'd you say about me?
That's fine. I don't think the guy wrestles anymore. So he had. Now this is why I'm one of those guys. When I'm told a story, I want that story to continue and move on. So we had a guy who he retired as one character. He got injured. He legitimately got injured in practice one time. I'll never forget it. It was this guy. He called what was his name? It was Miyagi. It was like Miyagi something, kind of like off Mr. Miyagi off the Karate Kid. But he looked like a legitimate. He looked like a legitimate fat Mr. Miyagi. I swear he did. He was a great guy too. One of the nicest guys in the entire world. He had this finish called the Tsunami. And the Tsunami was basically just this big old body slam. And take it, he's still fairly new into wrestling, and he can't do a whole lot. So when he did a Tsunami on him, his knee came on the top of his shoulder, and he hurt his shoulder. So yeah, and it was a legitimate injury. So when so he came back the next week, or the very next show, he came out, and he was pronounced the name that he retired 2 weeks prior.
Oh, no.
By the announcer. The announcer screwed that up.
Oh, no.
So,
Way to go, Rich.
Hey, that wasn't me. Nope.
so he was off, I think, about a month, and then he was able to finally move him and do everything again. When he comes back, he's supposed to be a babyface. Now, as a referee, I know the babyfaces are not to tell you to look away. The heels do. The heels are the ones that tell you, hey, look over there, they're bothering me. Right. He tried to do that, and I called him out on it. Dude, you're a babyface. End this daggum match. Like, just end it. Like, you've already run the entire daggum match. Just end the daggum match.
Wow.
And I'm a young referee at this point.
Go home, damn it.
It's like, go home. You've already run this match. You're a babyface, dude. Why are you doing this? And I told the managers afterwards, I'm like, you got to get rid of this guy. You got to get rid of him.
When the official comes back and is like, "That you gotta go," yeah.
Well, he talked a little bit about how he got involved in wrestling and became a referee, and it was kind of by accident. I mean, yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes
and no.
Yeah.
Well, the same is kind of my story right
Yeah.
now. We're in completely different paths. You're 15 years into this.
Yeah.
I'm just now getting into this
It's
whole
beautiful.
concept, and it's completely by accident by meeting Rich. And
He's like, one time somebody clicks into the Dads After Dark stream.
We
We regret it to this day.
We go live on Facebook and YouTube every Monday night at 7 p.m. Dads After Dark Radio. Tune in, check us out. We're awesome. But Rich just happened to come in there one time and just started commenting. So we became buddies. And then, 2 weeks later, Shane and Rodney showed up over here on the Patrick and the
Yeah. You were like,
I had to work. I just started a brand new job. I couldn't take off.
Yeah, that was the excuse they gave.
But we become kind of buddies. And then the Arkin Brawl.
Yeah.
We just like, hey, let's go live over there. We set up and I just started doing some wrestling commentary. I've always wanted to, so I said, screw it, why the hell not?
Right.
And that led me to doing this last show for VCW. That was fantastic. Dude, I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Man, I'm glad you did. And it was great. You guys were a great team.
You are good.
You know what's great is y'all pay me to do it, and joke's on you, I would do it for free. But we've already signed the contract.
Watch what you say, because there have been many times, I'm dead serious when I say this, more times than not, I haven't gotten paid for it. And there's nights that I'm the only referee. So remember that. Remember what you said.
You gotta write it into your contract, man. Come on. I'm on a 5-year deal right now.
No, but of course, Rich and I met at IPCW.
Yeah.
And so I had actually kind of just gotten back from a hiatus because CJ, who's not here,
Yeah, he messaged me and said basically along the lines of, since you're here, he refuses to.
that's fine. He suspended me anyway. That jerk. Anyways,
Ooh, dude, you're making enemies left and right today.
Let's talk about how I met Rich first, and then I'll get into that.
Prison?
Rich IPCW debuted. What was it? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago? About 2 years ago?
About.
And so CJ, who just suspended me, the jerk, him and I met, and we met, I think, 2013, 2014. And so I was living in Saline County at the time, and he was actually a lot smaller than what he is now, and he'll tell you that. He was on a basketball team. It was at Bishop Park in Bryant. He was on a basketball team with my buddy, and it was a summer league, and that's how I met him. And so we had a mutual friend, Philip Porche. We used to go to Phil's house, and Phil used to grill out on Sundays or Saturday afternoons, whatever day it was. And CJ used to come over there, and I did not know that CJ wrestled. And so he actually, I saw some promotions that he was doing on some of the shows that he was going to be. I'm like, man, where do you go? And he told me that at the time they were doing one in Benton. It didn't last very long. And then he was up in Grubbs, I think is what he said. There was a promotion up in Grubbs at the time that he was kind of involved in at the time.
There is no way these towns are real.
Dude, you would, yeah.
Grubbs and Hoxie.
Grubbs, Hoxie. There's, what is it?
Mountain Pine has SCW.
Yeah.
Osceola has a promotion.
I know Osceola.
Okay, so Osceola has a promotion.
I know I'm going to mispronounce. Is it Murberry something?
Mulberry.
Thank you.
Mulberry, yeah.
It's been a while since I've been up there. Mulberry has a promotion.
Mulberry has a promotion. Alma. You ever heard of Alma?
So does every freaking town have a promotion? Is this how this
No.
works?
It's pretty much just take a back road and find a small town, and you'll find somebody that's wrestling.
So I can start the Dad's After Dark radio promotion. I can start.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bam, it's official.
Let us know.
So, but here's something else, though.
You need an announcer. I know a guy.
But here's something else. The Indies in Arkansas has grown so much over the last few years. And so, because some of these promotions like SCW, I didn't know SCW still existed until Rich said, "Hey, SCW's over in Mountain Pine." I'm like, "What?" It's like, 'cause I didn't know they were in existence.
Oh yeah, they've been going strong 7 years.
And then Cersei has one that's going to be brought back up by Logan Light.
Right.
The previous owners, they got out of it, but they're starting back up. I think next month. I think because I got to look at my calendar because Rob Father had told me when they were going to be there. But I ran into Rich at IPCW. So CJ. Back to CJ. So CJ had actually randomly messaged me one time. He said, "Hey, are you wanting to get back into this?" Because at the time I was working for Pepsi. Didn't have a whole lot going on, but I had quite a bit going on. And so he's like, "Hey, I need a referee." He's like, "I'm going to need a referee." And so the only referees that were there was me, Tony Flanagan.
Yep.
Tony was injured at the time, so he couldn't get in there. Or he wasn't medically cleared to get in there. And that's how I met Rich. And then Rich had told me that VCW Vapors was going to start up and we were going to be in Hot Springs. He asked if I would be interested. And I said, absolutely, because at the time, didn't have a whole lot going on. Had a lot going on, but not a whole lot, not as much as I do now. And so I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Because he told me when the shows were going to be and everything like that. And I'm like, yeah, let's see. And the thing with this is like, if you can't make it, just give them a good heads up. And so I think there's only been once that I haven't been able to make it. Ark and Brawl, I was supposed to be at Ark and Brawl. And Ark and Brawl actually happened to be the day my daughter had a game that got canceled during the snow that they made up that day. And of course, you got to be a father too. So
right, absolutely.
So because that was the one thing I told Rob Father after they did our show in October. I wasn't going to take anything during basketball season, and I took one show during basketball season, and it was at Hard Riders. It's when they went to Hard Riders the first time, and so. That was the only show that I did during basketball season. Then of course, coming back now, being able to do this again, and so yeah, that's how Rich and I met though. And the opportunities just kept flowing over and over and everything like that. And so that's the thing with you. You may not know this now, but 6 months down the road, you may have others who are going to come up to you and be like, "Man, you do a great job on this. Would you like to come commentate a show for us?" And it's going to start stacking up on you. I promise you it will. Promise you it will.
Welcome to the indie scene, man.
I'm a cheap whore.
I mean, and that's
We'll work for food. So I'm just saying.
especially those potted meat milkshakes. Yeah.
That's gross.
I felt like we, need to make one out of like sweaty, locker room socks or
For
something
those who
for
don't know
you.
what he's talking about, go and check out Dads After Dark on YouTube and go find one of our latest episodes. There's video of me drinking a potted meat shake.
That's disgusting and gross, dude. That's disgusting and gross.
Like I said, I'm a cheap whore.
I may have gained a little more respect for you. Just don't talk about Godfather.
I'll share a funny story that happened to me. But what's been the like? Have you ever had an embarrassing moment as an official?
You ever split your pants?
Right. Ever split your pants? Ever had something
You ever
just
shit your pants?
No, no, I've come close.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet,
No.
no.
Not yet. No, it's not one of those embarrassing moments. Like what was that?
Like
show?
I face planted getting out of the ring after making announcements one time. Like off the side of the ring, straight down the gym
there's
floor.
probably been a couple of times that I've tripped and fell, but nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing out of the ordinary. No.
Okay.
No, nothing out of the ordinary like that. And I mean, I know that sounds,
You got till September, man.
I know I got till September, but it's like
You're not done yet.
it's like I'm trying to think back, but I don't think other than like a little slip and a trip. No, I mean nothing like that. No pants splitting or anything like that.
Yeah.
I like to wear my pants a little loose as it is. So I mean, so that's probably one reason why I don't. But but yeah, other than that, no, I really don't think I've had an embarrassing moment. Now, had that guy actually kicked out on that 3 count, that would have probably been it. But I'm telling you, I swear, he still hasn't kicked out.
I do want to give a shout out to Keith Daniels. He's co-owner and booker for Vapors Championship Wrestling. He was saying that he was actually the one that suggested you, which that is true. We have our owners meeting, and he said, hey, how about Michael? And I'll reach out to him.
I like Keith. He's got good judgment.
Absolutely.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Smaller towns too. Wrestling with Pride was actually they're in Paragould now, but
Yep.
originally they were in Oil Trough.
Yeah, I was hoping to get to go to that show yesterday.
Oh, dude, that was a great.
Was it a great show?
Great show.
So, our head coach, Matt Williams, at Whitehall, me and him actually went up to we were in Paragould Friday watching some state tournament games at Greene County Tech, and then we went with a friend of ours that lives in Jonesboro, and then we drove over to Springdale. We ended up driving over to Springdale to watch some semifinal games yesterday, but had we been in Paragould,
Yeah, dude.
we were gonna make an appearance.
That crowd was hot.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear
were
that
packed.
too. I'm glad to hear that too.
It was great.
Paragould's a great town. Paragould is probably
QWO won the tag team championships.
see, and I saw something on Facebook. Didn't Triple J win a title?
I know that they just got the tag team championship.
Okay, it might have because I saw him with it. And I'm like, I didn't know what title it was, but I'm like, dude, congratulations to him. I'm telling y'all right now, Triple J is Triple J is very young in this business.
I know you don't know who we're talking about.
No,
well, you do. I mean,
yeah.
from he's been there.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, he probably won the light, heavyweight, featherweight, whatever. He weighs like 80 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
He's a tiny little fella.
so I will.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's fantastic. He's awesome.
I will tell you this much. I've seen a lot of young wrestlers come and go out of this business. He has legitimate shot to make it big time.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why. He's 3-4 years in the business now. If
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
He wrestles like a veteran. He surrounds himself with guys who know more than he does, and he's so humble and he listens to everything everybody tells him. And so, I had a conversation with him here a while back, and I'm just like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, man, one of these days I'm going to see you on the big stage. I want to see you on the big stage. And I'm like, it's like, you love this business so much, man, just stick with it.
Right.
And he does. He's got a great mentor. Ray Ivey is probably the greatest mentor he's going to have. Even if he continues on down this path and he does get in big promotions or whatever the case may be, Ray Ivey's probably going to be the biggest influence he ever has.
Yep.
And if anybody knows anything they're talking about, it's Ray Ivey. I'll tell you, Ray, I love Ray. That dude is such a great dude. And so knows a whole lot. But and the thing with Ray that I still love about him, and he'll tell you this, he's still a student of the business.
Right.
You always got to be a student of the business. If you're not, if
Oh, and that should go. Yeah.
that goes always from the referee all the way up to the wrestler to the world heavyweight champion
To the commentator.
the commentator, whatever.
That's exactly what I told Rich after the last show. I told him, I said, dude, go back and watch and let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, where I can improve. I said, I'm very coachable.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And so, but that's a good thing. But that's kind of where I'm kind of getting with Triple J is because he's very coachable. And so I'm telling you, if he makes it big time, it's not going to surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
He's so talented. And so I just hope, because I've seen young talent like him who have just gotten out of the business for whatever reason. And a lot of the talent. I'll tell you, my very first match was with a young kid. Now, back then we had a commission. You could be 18. However, if you did a benefit show, you could be 16. And so we were doing a benefit show, and I'm telling you, he wore a mask. He was a high flyer type of dude. He came off the ropes like he was a veteran. I didn't know who he was at first. Then he took his mask off in the back, and I'm like, "You're this kid that's always practicing with us, doing this." He's not in the business anymore. Had all the talent in the world. No, he's not in the business anymore. So I really hope that Triple J sticks with it because I really believe, give it a few years, you may see him go big time. He's that good.
And that's awesome.
He's that good.
And what's great is wrestling has never been hotter. So
That is true.
So making it big time, I mean, it has several different meanings.
It
nowadays.
does. It does.
There's so many promotions that
that
are legit big promotions now that are places for wrestlers to work, and that's what's great, man. I mean, they cut their teeth on the indie scene, and if they're really really good, there's 10 decent promotions nowadays.
In fact, one of those are getting ready to come here to the Arkansas area in June, which I know is a huge deal, and I know blew up when the news was released among the independent scene, and that's Game Changer Wrestling is going to be coming to the Hall in June to do a show. And that's a big-time independent promotion. They're usually, even when like WrestleMania weekend's going on, Game Changer Wrestling is somewhere in the area holding.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Do you know people at that promotion?
I do not know anybody by name that I know of. I mean, hey, somebody could always call up and be like, "Hey, I've been involved with them," and oh man, I didn't even know. So
y'all need a referee,
right? I totally reached out to him and was like, "Hey, local announcer, if you need one, I'd be glad to do it." So
that would be awesome.
there have been a couple of local guys from the independent scene that, while they weren't, necessarily maybe featured or anything, like they did get a chance. I know there's one from Fort Smith area, Alexander Gold.
Yep.
I think he was on a dark match on AEW.
Yes,
Yeah.
AEW, yes.
There's another great Arkansas talent, Kay Toomer. He's around the scene, and he does a lot with Memphis Wrestling out in, Tennessee. I believe he got to be like either an extra or kind of play a lot of times when your bigger promotions, WWE and AEW, come around, you see those security, things where they're all holding off a wrestler. Those are normally local talent. Mm-hmm. And so, I know a couple of guys, Kay Toomer and William Blackwell, both have had the opportunity to be on like that kind of scene there. So,
cool.
touch base. Yeah. I think there's definitely, more eyes growing on Arkansas. And especially the independent scene. You definitely do have a lot of promotions, like we were talking about earlier. Excuse me. I think that also has a lot to do with the fact that we don't have an athletic commission over wrestling anymore.
Yes.
There is one over like MMA fighting and all that in Arkansas.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's a little bit different.
And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because you do have so many, I would call pop-up tax check promotions. Hey, we got our refund, we're going to try being a promoter. And then they lose all their money and don't know what they're doing, and
may not be safe in the process.
Right, exactly.
So if you were to bring back the commission, it would need to be now, because there's so many that have popped up. But I don't know if we need it.
Right.
That's the big thing. I don't know if we need it.
I mean, I understand that, but like, why? And again, I love it. I mean, I think it's
going to reason why we don't need it.
Right. My worry is this, and I don't mean this in a negative way or anything. Hey, if you want to, I'm not the master of being a promoter at all. This all happened, Vapors happened over a car ride with my buddy Keith Daniels.
There you go.
Like seriously, we were hanging out. I think we went to go check out some like Christmas lights or something. And it was something fun to take my kid to. I'm a full-time.
Look at Frosty over there. By the way, you want to get into wrestling?
Right, and that was it. We were driving back into Hot Springs. And he was like, hang on, your phone might be causing that feedback static there a little bit. Or it could be mine in my pocket. Who knows? Anyways, but he was, we were just talking, and he was, man, I love wrestling. I wish there was just more of it. And at this point, I had started, like, my announcing career had started to take off. I started having more promotions to look for, and he's kind of my ride-along buddy. You know, he comes with me to them all. And we're great friends from it. That's how we grew as friends. But anyways, it all came about. And he's like, I wish there was more wrestling. And he's been a huge fan and knows a lot of independent wrestlers. And I was like, man, between me announcing for different promotions and the people that you know, we could probably throw together a pretty good promotion.
So, and I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because the commission basically oversaw like you said, the safety, everything like that.
Right.
A lot of the guys, like you said in the independent, like you and Keith, y'all work together with a lot of these guys.
Right.
Back then, that didn't happen.
Right.
Most of the time back then, whenever you were your own thing, and you didn't collide with others, like you didn't get along with others or anything like that. Like it wasn't one of those.
I don't know what that was.
I don't either. So I'm making sure
The aliens are hacking us.
So
Put our tinfoil hats on.
And so, but it's like, my biggest thing is, do we really need a commission to oversee all this?
Right. I mean,
Because you have your own legitimate law. Like everybody knows. Anyone that throws a promotion knows exactly what you can do and what you can't do. And so I don't know. We need somebody to look over that. But if it's gonna happen, it needs to be people that know what they're talking about.
right.
It doesn't need to be some random jerk.
It might be him.
Go produce. Oh, could it?
It's got to be. My phone's on the floor now.
There you
Look
go.
at that.
I think it was.
Nope.
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 Which one is he? Is he number one? Check. No, that.
Check that out.
Check.
Ricky. Whoa, you good, man?
Yep, I'm good.
He fell.
I'm trying to get my phone.
Don't destroy the studio, man. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
It's Rich's fault.
Yeah, blame it on me. Hey, I'm surprised. You know, we've gone this long, and it's been kind of actually halfway decent. I hope everybody's been enjoying it. Keith Daniels did just point out to me, yeah, May 3rd for Vapors Championship Wrestling, we're bringing in Mike Quackenbush, which is a huge name among the independent scene and professional wrestling. He's trained a laundry list of wrestlers, but most notably Alexa Bliss. And he's hosted several of his own podcasts, and yeah, it's going to be exciting.
I've loved Alexa Bliss for a long time.
I
met her when she was in NXT, and is that me?
That was you.
You muted me.
I did, man. I shut the star off.
So you're number one.
Yeah, I'm number. By the way, no. So
Hello, number one.
Yeah, so that's.
All right, I'm 2. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, we got it. We're good.
Whatever.
We're good.
But I've loved Alexa for a long time. I met her at an NXT show a long time ago, and I've just always been a huge fan of her character work. And back when I used to do a wrestling podcast, I used to refer to Alexa as my boo, my babe, my everything.
Yeah, I would too.
Goodness.
She's fantastic.
I haven't met her or anything like that, but I've always been a fan of hers.
Now, Vapors is kind of so far your introduction into the independent scene in Arkansas.
I've had buddies before that's tried to get me to come to some local shows, and all right, so a little background story on me, not to talk about
No, man, please do. I mean, let everybody, yeah.
Again, I talked about WrestleMania 6, and I've been a huge wrestling fan for a long time. Over the last 6 years, kind of fell out of love with it. I still liked it.
Okay.
I wasn't in love with it. Back in the day, me and my buddy Chris, we did a wrestling podcast for about 6 or 7 years. And he moved to Ohio about a little less than 7 years ago. And in that time frame, things have kind of changed. My kids got involved in more activities, and I wasn't doing a wrestling show every day or every week, so didn't watch the product all the time.
Right.
But I used to go to TNA shows. I've been to 2 WrestleManias. I've been to more pay-per-views than I can count, more live events. But the last 6 years, I kind of fell out of love with it. And then over the last couple of years, my 12-year-old has really got me back into love with wrestling.
Okay.
And so,
which is right about the perfect age for him to be getting
exactly,
into it. Yeah.
And he loves it. And it's to the point where if I don't see something, he's like, Daddy, did you see this? No. He's like, hey, can we watch Raw? Can we watch SmackDown? So I've got somebody pushing me to do it now. And that's been great because it's got me back into it. And it's funny on the timing of it because that's been recent. And then just happened to meet you and just happened to get involved with Ark and Brawl and now with Vapors. And it's funny how things just happen for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this whole thing has kind of reignited my passion for wrestling. I've always loved wrestling.
Right.
But I just haven't devoted the time to it in the last 6 years that I had the previous 15, 20 years.
Right. No, absolutely.
But this has been pretty cool, dude. Like I'm getting into the independent scene. I'm digging the independent wrestling, meeting the wrestlers, meeting the behind the scenes, the referees, the announcers. the promoters, everything that goes on. It's pretty damn cool. And real quick, I just want to tell a story.
Yeah, man.
At Rude Awakening this last weekend, or whatever it was. I had a moment. We showed up, me and my 12-year-old son, we showed up about 3 hours before the show started. I wanted to do some prep work. I wanted to watch some things, get to meet some people. And we were ringside. And I'm not going to give too much away as to what it was, but it was the main event of the night. They were in the ring, and they were going over some movesets and some things they wanted to do. Well, you've got a big man who wants to try Hurricane Rana, and he can't quite figure it out. What was really freaking cool is I was like, man, should I say something? And I just chimed in with a suggestion. What was really cool is they took my suggestion and they put it in the match in the main event of the show.
Yep.
I was like, holy shh.
That's pretty cool.
That's so freaking cool. Even my 12-year-old was like marking out over that. He's like, Daddy, they did it in the main event. He's like, Daddy, they did the move you told him. I was like, I know.
That's awesome.
But it was pretty cool because, one, I know a lot of wrestling.
Right.
And then two, I think me being able to provide something like that made them turn around, look at me, and go, okay.
He knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about.
Right.
That was so cool. And, dude, I marked out at that moment.
But I mean, that's a great moment and absolutely
And then I got to call that moment.
Right.
That was awesome.
And that's a beautiful full circle. I mean, but that is the experiences that being in the independent scene, do. And I say that most of the locker rooms that I've been in are like family.
They are.
They're happy to see me as soon as I walk in that door. It's what's up, Rich, and high fives and hugs and everybody, man. And we all, you have to have that mindset of you have to be open to suggestions. You have to be, you have to understand you're not God's gift to wrestling. There's nothing that you're right. Same for me. I know I'm not God's gift to announcing. I'm amazed that people think I'm as good at it as I am because I'm just like...
It's just sheer dumb luck.
Right. It's just like, I mean, I'm whatever. Y'all enjoy that I'm doing it. And don't get me wrong. I absolutely love doing it. It is a passion of mine. But, like, I'm just happy to be here. I don't think I'm anything special, But you have to have, that's what I'm saying, is you have to be open to that suggestion and random people that you've never seen before, saying, hey, just off of a different set of eyes... what do y'all think about this?
Damn straight. Man, and, talking about reigniting my passion for wrestling, I literally woke up the other day. We've got another show coming up May 3rd.
Yeah.
I woke up the other day and I had an idea pop into my head for one of the matches, and I'm like, man, I gotta go talk to Rich about that.
Yeah.
So I've got some ideas when we get off camera, but I was like, I just woke up like in a cold sweat. I'm like, man, that's a good idea.
Right.
I've never done that before. That was really freaking cool.
Oh, I'm glad, man, and definitely hit up Keith.
Yeah.
With any ideas, man, for sure, and same thing. But yeah, I'll definitely love to hear him.
How you get on the booking committee?
Keith is the main booker and creative guy. Yep. That's pretty much the way we do it. So you met all three at March. So you have Michael Dampier. He's our general manager. Mm-hmm. And then
cook
Keith.
Some damn good food too.
Man, them burgers.
I wish I would have got. I didn't get a chance to get one, but I heard they were phenomenal though.
Man, check them out up there in Hot Springs at the Brady Mountain Grill. I think it's right near Lake Hamilton School or something
That's
like
where.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause see, I've tried. What's that one that I tried? The Frosty Treat that we were next to. Theirs is pretty good.
Yeah, the Frosty Treat.
Then there was another one that's right around the corner. I'm trying to remember the name of it. King Cone is what it's called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They've got some good burgers.
Yeah.
And so I'm always interested. My very first job that I ever had was at a dairy bar. So have y'all seen the movie Sling Blade?
Oh yeah.
So
the one in Benton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dairy bar that's in Benton.
I've gotten food from there before. Pretty good.
That was my very first job. Of course, they've switched owners, many years ago, but
okay.
they're still pretty
claim
good.
To fame,
They're still pretty good. Yeah, it's called Gary's Sling Blade.
Give me some of them French fried tears.
I like the way you talk.
We ain't got no gas in it.
Could you imagine him being a commentator? 1, 2. I don't know what comes after 2, but
got some good action in the ring right there, in the big hospital, fling them around over there.
So I do know that you had mentioned earlier, after 15 years in September, you're going to hang up the referee shirt. What led to that? Yeah. Yeah, Mike. When we were talking about it, Mikey G said nobody likes a quitter.
Nobody
man.
likes it.
And I gotta say, I agree, man. I think you've got plenty of more time.
I'm just now getting
Man,
started. And he's leaving.
So last October, so let me flash back a little bit. So I started coaching again this past school year. So I started back in August, and of course, now I'm coaching basketball again.
Right.
And so,
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you. I do appreciate that. And so, going through this season, especially the start of it, I started realizing how, even before the season started, I started realizing how much time that I put into it, and how much time that I put everything else into it. Because one of the things that I've always been told, is when you do
Put your pants back on. That's
exactly, put your pants anyway. One of the things that I've always been taught, and one of the things that I've always tried to do, is everything that I have ever done in my life, especially in my 30s, because in my 20s I was an idiot, and everybody, anyways.
Aren't we all, man?
And so, but everything you do, you put everything you've got into it.
Right.
So after the October show, I
just half-ass everything, and I get behind.
you're only on commentary, man. Anyways.
Oh! Shots fired.
Oh man, no,
like it.
no man. I love you guys. You guys do seriously. You guys did a great job at this
But
past show.
I'm not having to climb in and out of the ring. I'm not having to get up.
It's still,
on
dude.
and off the mat.
But here's the thing, though, man. And
I don't know. He did have a little bit of trouble clicking that button a couple
Dude,
of
I'm
times.
well, I showed. Okay, I don't mean to interrupt, but I show up and they were like, "Hey, by the way, you're not only doing commentary, you're running the video board, and you're doing all the sound." I'm like, "Shh."
so here's here's the thing, though, and take it from me, because, like I said, being a referee in the ring, I've even told you I'm only a little fraction of the segment, because I'm not supposed to show out. It's the wrestlers that show out, but I still have to do my part.
Right, you have
for
your.
The same thing with commentary. Your commentary, dude, is so important, because even though I can't hear you out there, because a lot of commentary you can hear out loud, but your commentary is being done quietly through a network where 3,000-4,000 people are listening. Dude, you are the most important piece when it comes to that, because those 4,000 people can hear you.
Well, and that's what I was trying to. I was telling somebody about it. I was like, man, my goal is to take that show, relay the messages that they're trying to get across, and portray the storylines. And so the next show, man, they're like, man, I can't miss that next one. I got to be there live.
Right.
Yep.
That's what I hope to achieve doing that. What's up, Logan? Logan Light's watching.
Oh, what's up, man? But no, you're absolutely right, and that's I don't have an issue with, because I've been at plenty of promotions where I've done the commentary and you can hear it. It's just it's not my thing. When you go to a WWE show, you don't hear the commentary.
Nope. But no, like I said, but never ever feel like you're not part of it, dude. Because I'm telling you, you got a very important job.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of ways, your job is more important than mine.
Well, I feel like the next time I show up, they're going to add more stuff. Not only you do it,
we're going to need you to juggle this baton set on fire too, and
So,
which I can do. It's a hidden talent.
Oh, God.
I knew it.
Hidden talent.
While drinking a potted milkshake. Yeah, there you go. Potted meat.
Before TNR came down to the October show at Whitehall, my wife and I sat down, and she's like, and I usually listen to my wife, because one of the things that I love about my wife, it doesn't matter what I do, no matter what time I put into whatever it is that I'm doing. She is my rock. She is 100% behind everything that I do, and I'm not just saying that. I mean that with my whole heart. And you can ask people that are around me all the time. They will tell you the same exact thing that I told you, because she's not one of those, oh, you can't go do that. You can't go do that. No, she's not like that. She's like, I fully support whatever it is that you want to put your mindset to and everything like that. So,
well, and I just want to pause you right there, because that is one point that I did want to kind of touch on with the whole entire Intermission podcast is, as much as we all know it's a predetermined outcome. I will never say fake. It's a predetermined outcome. There are injuries that happen. There is a real side to it.
Yes.
We all have a real life.
Yes.
And the sacrifices that you have to make in order to, if it's something you are taking seriously and you want to grow in, you want to build in, you want to get out to other promotions, you have to invest that time in yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. And navigating those sacrifices can come at a price and can become difficult at times.
So saying all that, I'm one of the busiest people I know.
Right.
So if you let's just take just basketball season. So Sunday, we go to church on Sundays. Of course, today, I came here. Mondays, I'm usually at practice till 5 or 6.
Right.
Now, during the season, my junior high games are on Mondays and Thursdays. Then you have the varsity games, which I'm a part of the varsity staff as well. Theirs is on Tuesdays and Fridays. Wednesdays, we go to choir practice. Saturday, we might have Saturday together. And this is during the season.
Yep.
Now, now we've been on hiatus from one of the podcasts, but I've been a part of 2 podcasts over the last few years. One is mine and my buddies called Talking Sports with Nooner and Forrest, which we've done for 3 years now. And so we do it when we have time to. We do, I think we're going to get on maybe tonight or tomorrow night or something like that and do that. And then we have a terrible football show, which is it's straight up football. Now, we've been on hiatus because a lot of people like myself, like I said, we have lives. We have stuff we have other projects that are going on that we're not able to really collate and face up on. Everything.
Excuses over here.
So we sat down, and I just had a simple conversation with her, and it's like I told her, I said, honey, I think I'm doing a little too much, because I started feeling the effects because not only do I have to do all of this, but I have my family to fit in as well. I still have to be a dad. I still have to be a husband, and all of this stuff. And so when you sit down and you think of it, okay, I line everything up that I'm currently doing.
Right.
It's like okay, coaching, that's my life, that's my passion. I have a future in that. That's not going anywhere. And so when you line everything up, and I hate to say it like this, but wrestling's got to go. And the reason wrestling's got to go, it's not that I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
I would love to continue to do this. I would love to do this for years. I don't want to be, and no offense to Tony, I know Tony's probably going to listen to the show. I don't want to be Tony's age doing this. Because the thing with me is if I'm going to do something, like I said, I'm going to give it with every passion and everything that I have. And I can't do that with wrestling anymore. I can't do that anymore. And it's just gotten to that point where it's like, okay, do I want to let this go?
Right.
I've done everything in wrestling that I could possibly do besides wrestle a match. I've never wrestled a match. I hope that changes between now and then. Never wrestled a match. And it's like, do I want to? I've done everything I can as a referee. I've seen every match. The worst matches in the entire world are the triple threat tag team matches. I can't stand those. But the rest of I've done. It's like I've seen it all.
Right.
And it's like, can I do more with this? Because I'm going to be 37 in September. No one's there's enough video out there on me. WWE is not knocking on my door. TNA is not knocking on my door. AEW is not knocking. None of these promotions are knocking on my door. And it's like, do I see a future with this?
Right.
Because everything I do, I put everything I have to it, and I want to make sure that I can have a future with it. My podcast I do at home. Coaching, I'm on the road with coaching, especially during the season. And even in the off season, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes during off season that you guys don't know of. And so it's like whenever I put pencil to paper.
It's all that illegal recruiting.
Right?
Anyways.
Talking to Jim Harbaugh.
He laughs because it's true.
So anyway, putting everything into it, it's like I've given everything I've got for it. And I'd have nothing left to give. I love this business. I don't love it like the wrestlers love it. I love this business, but I don't love it like you love it. I can't love it like that, like I used to could, because I have a family, because I have other things that are going on.
Absolutely.
That are not necessarily, I'm not going to say that they're more important. My family obviously is the most important thing of them all.
Absolutely.
You got to get your priorities straight, man.
But when it comes down to it, I don't have a future in this business. I have no desire to be a general manager. I've been a guest general manager. It's fun. It's fun, especially when it's done right. It's fun.
Right.
I've been guest commentary.
I want to do that.
I've been a guest manager. I've done everything except wrestle a match. And hopefully that changes between now and then. And so, but just coming down to it, what else do I have left to give?
Right.
And I don't have anything left to give. I've done it all.
And that's respectable, man. I mean,
So,
absolutely.
here's the thing. I'm not saying that I won't come back and do a one-off.
Right.
I won't say that I won't say that I won't be at shows, because there's probably gonna be times that I'm gonna like, you know what, I want to go to a show.
Absolutely.
Just as a fan, but I don't want to get in the ring.
And that's
I don't want to get in the ring. I don't want to commit. I can't commit the way that I used to be able to commit. Like right now, I've got a calendar from now through May.
Right.
Of events, and I think I may even have one in June that I wrote down just in case. That I'm like, hey, maybe I can go to this one. I can't do that. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. And so I'm going to September.
I see what you're saying, man. And there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so many days in a month, man.
Think about this.
100%. I get what you're saying.
Think about this. All right. There are 52 weekends, and there are 52 weeks in a year. There's 52 weekends. All right. So IPCW. Let's say I did all 12 shows of IPCW. All right, that's 12 days out of 52 days. That means you take 52 minus 12. That's 40 weekend days out of the year that I have.
right.
Add in Vapors. Vapors has a show every 2 months. That's 6 more shows. That's 6 more days taken out just like that. That's 34. Take TNR. Even if I commit to 2 or 3 shows a year with TNR, you're winding down the days. So you're basically, the way it's been, and I'm being dead serious when I say this, it's gotten to the point where I'm going to a wrestling show every other weekend.
Yeah.
And truthfully, and Rich knows this, if I wanted to book myself every weekend, I could do it.
Oh yeah.
I could do it. And so, and it just,
And again, that's, I'm doing that. This whole weekend has been, Friday I did midget wrestling. I went and checked that out. Yesterday I was,
midget, that was hilarious.
Yeah, dude, that was a good
video.
time.
That was hilarious. But it's like, it's like I just I can't commit like I used to could.
Right.
And if I'm not going to give 100%, I'm not going to do it. And I just can't give 100% anymore. And so that's why I'm hanging it up. That's why I'm leaving. And so, because I need to be a dad, I need to be a husband, along these other things, and it's going to free up that time that I can spend with my family, because it's got to make up. Because during the basketball season, y'all, I'm telling y'all, I told my wife from the very beginning, whenever because it really gets busy September, October, when the practices get a little bit later,
Right.
and all this other stuff, and I'll tell her I'll see you sometime in March. And guess what? I'm still going. So it's just and so we have a trip coming up during spring break, and so with the in-laws and everything like that, and so but anyway, but that's why I'm hanging it up. That's why I'm hanging it up.
Well, and hey, man, it's been a great career for you.
I've
Absolutely, you've been a great official, man.
I appreciate that. I've enjoyed it. Like I said, I've had great matches. I've had boring matches. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of this.
And that was just Rockfather.
Anyway, oh gosh, I love that. But anyway, and of course, Rich especially knows what I'm talking about. You'll see this eventually, especially the more that you're in it. But you'll start seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to tell you the truth, I wouldn't change a thing.
No.
And because at the end of the day,
it's all an experience that teaches you a lesson. Man.
It's an experience. And at the end of the day, the good ones, and Rich knows what I'm talking about. The good ones are going to stick. The good ones who do stick around are the ones that you want to stick around.
Amen.
Those are the ones that you want to be a part of. You want Ray Ivey at every show that you can possibly get him at, because he's going to give back to the business, and he's going to do what's not best for Ray Ivey. He's going to do what's best for the show, because that's how he is. Yeah. You want Triple J's to stick around. You want guys like Rob Father around. You want you want those guys who are there to give back to the business, who want to be a part of this business still, but also know, man, I'm going to do what makes sense. I'm going to do what's going to tell a story that's going to put on a good show. It's not about me. It's about everybody else, and it's about these fans that come in that say, when they leave, man, that was a great show.
Well, and it's funny you talk about time constraints and whatnot. It's you're adding more and more on, and you're starting to see the stress level of not having your weekends free and this and that. And it's funny because I'm coming off of the other side. We've done travel baseball for the last 3 years, and I've coached my son every year. So this is the first time in 3 years that we are not doing 14, 15 weekends from spring until the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's been he's playing for the junior high team now, and it's all during the week. So we've got majority of our
play
week.
For?
Bryant.
Okay. So
They have JV and varsities on the JV team.
okay, yeah. So my wife graduated from Bryant, and actually, matter of fact, yesterday Bryant won their game yesterday against Springdale Harbor. They'll be in the championship for basketball next weekend. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up too. Yeah, 'cause we actually started junior high baseball this year at Whitehall, which I found out we were the only one of the only ones who didn't have junior high baseball.
I was gonna say we play you guys.
Whenever I was in high, that's the thing though. When I was in high school though, we didn't have a junior high baseball team. It was just now at Bauxite.
Small world, though.
I'm telling you, because there were some schools you could start in 9th grade, but there were other schools like Bauxite where I went to. You started in 10th grade, and it was just the high school team. Now they did some JV games, but it was like 3-inning games. It was nothing.
So
nothing.
this team now is 7th and 8th graders, and like I said,
there you go.
And he's on the junior varsity, and they're only playing I think like 6 games for JV. So, but whatever, he's doing that, and he's playing league ball out in East End, so it's working out pretty well.
But it's a good league out there.
But again, I got my weekends back.
Right.
Which allows me to do stuff like this, and allows me to do stuff like calling wrestling events, and
So you're all for it. He's coming down the side of the mountain of, like, hey, I want to spend more time, and you're like, hey, throw the shirt on me, give me the mic, whatever, I'm good.
Good riddance. See you. I'm just teasing.
No, I understand that. No, travel ball though, that's a pain.
It's a beast,
and
you haven't got into that one yet.
So,
yeah, no, my little one's 6.
Oh, just wait.
So we're starting to come up to that.
They start them at like 6.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I've called baseball over the years too, and so last summer, and as a matter of fact, I actually got a contact from the guy. Of course, I was out yesterday, but he. Cabot has a league out there, and they do a bunch of travel baseball on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those parents, oh my gosh, they need some psychotherapy.
Dude,
My gosh, they're so bad.
travel baseball would be great if it weren't for parents.
Yeah. Is it just what they did? I mean,
Parents,
and that's the
your
thing
team
in
or the other
general.
team, just period.
That's the thing.
Parents are awful.
Here's the thing in general. I'm trying to.
Everybody thinks their little Tommy is a star too.
right. And there's big money invested in it. I mean, it's not cheap to be on a travel team, don't you? Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the head basketball coach's name. He was at South Carolina up until last year, and he got fired. Frank Wright, I think's his name.
Okay.
I think that's his name. I have to look it up here in a minute. Anyway, hopefully it's Frank Wright. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he said something, and he did a video one time. He said something that he's like, his sons at the time were in youth basketball, and he said, he's like, these referees, they make $20-25 a game, something like that, which it might be about a little bit more now. He's like, I'm not there to yell at the referees. I'm not even there to coach my team. I'm not even there to coach my boys. He said, my boys will come up to me and they'll be like, Dad, what do I need to do?
Go ask your coach.
Go ask your coach.
Right.
I told my son that for the first time. I said, dude, when you go to practice this time, I said, I ain't your coach. I've been coaching him since he was 3 years old. I said, for the first time, I'm not his coach.
Right.
So I said, you've got issues with playing time or where you play or this and that, go talk to your coach.
Right.
I'm out of it. Either work your butt off in practice. I don't want to hear a word.
So, and that's the thing that I've told him. Frank Martin, that's his name.
Frank
Martin, that's his name. So, anyways, I've always took that approach with my daughter because I even told her, I'm like, look, after, during the game, after the game, I'll be like, hey, you need to work individually on this, and this. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I from the time she was 3 up until now, the only things I've said to the coaches were, how are you doing? Good to see you. And then I ran into her coach. Her coach at a gas station in Pine Bluff not too long ago, and I just told her how great of a job she did because she was the situation that she's in. The situation that she's in, where she's at, it's a very hard job. She has a very, very hard job. And so, and I knew that. And coach to coach, I just told him, like, I thought you did a fantastic job because these girls couldn't dribble a ball past half court during the summer, and then they're actually competing. And they didn't. I think they finished 6th or 7th in the conference, which out of 9 teams isn't. It's not great,
right?
But with them, it's like, because I know their talent level. It's not very high of a talent level where she's at. And I'm like, you're building something, you're starting something. So going coach to coach, I understand what she's going through. And so, but other than that, they're the coach. I'm the parent. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm not going to tell the coach what they need to do with their team because it's not my team. I'm there to support my kid.
I'm sure the coach appreciates that.
I'm there to support my kid. I'm there. I don't even talk to the referees. Like I just don't. Now some of them I'll just like chat up with because I know them because I've called the games with them and stuff. But like I don't yell at the referees or anything like that. Now if I'm coaching, it's different. But especially if there's a call that I'm like, okay, I don't see where you saw that. But when it comes to my kid, I'm the parent. I'm the dad. I don't want to be coaching dad. I just want now. If there were ever a situation that I became her coach, that's one thing. But I just want to be dad.
Right.
Yep, I'm enjoying being dad for a change. It's been nice. Man, we've gotten so off topic of wrestling.
I mean, dude, I'm here for it though. I'm here for it. No, but I mean that's and I started it because that's what I talked about, and that's what I mean. There is a personal side to us. You're not just a commentator. You're not just an official.
Exactly.
I'm not just outside of being an announcer and commentator. I'm a full-time single dad and asshole. So, but, and now a podcast host and all these things, same thing. I met Patrick at an IPCW event. He was, a guest co-host there, and from there, hey, we started talking about the podcast, and then I started doing that with him, and then it led to, hey, Rich, you should hold your own podcast. And I was like, have you been drinking today, Patrick? But
He said, well, yeah.
so, hey, we're trying it out. And, it's something you never know what doors are going to open.
No.
It is very much a family. And there's, wrestling for me has been there as far as if I can be real for a minute, and have that grace. But as a man, it's been there for me at my lowest points mentally. And it's been there for me at my highest points mentally.
And I'm kind of glad you brought that up because the only reason I went back to coaching, one of the biggest reasons I went back to coaching was because of wrestling. And because I went from, of course, you can always look at my salary on the website. It's on there. I
thought it's very low.
So if you go on the district website, you can actually look at my salary. But
I didn't know you could make 4 figures with literally.
So, anyways, oh my gosh.
They give you money back instead of taking it out of your taxes. They're like, you can't afford this. Here's
So,
plus $5.72 for your Social Security fund.
So all kidding aside, oh my gosh, you guys are killing me. So all kidding aside, I make about 18 to 19,000 less a year now than what I did previously when I was with Pepsi. And so one of the biggest things that inspired me was these wrestlers. These wrestlers, a lot of these guys that are out here, they work jobs to where they can do their dream.
Right.
This is their dream.
Most of them lose money on this.
Oh, yeah.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they do. And so because if you were to take, let's just take it for example. So if
How much did this podcast pay, by the way? We didn't negotiate that up front.
Remember earlier when you said, "Oh, I would have done it for free"?
That is true.
Congratulations, buddy.
That is true. That is true. Mm-hmm. And so, but even the POs that I've gotten paid, the majority of the just the POs that I've gotten paid, the most of the time it might just put gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Right.
You might be able to go down the road and get a snack, or something like that. And
there's an old saying of hot dog and a handshake.
Yep.
Exactly. And so, but at the end of the day, if I'm not here to benefit me.
Right.
I'm benefited because I got to be a part of something that I've always loved, and that I've loved at least for the last 20 years, that I've always loved, and I've been able to do this, and I get to have fun.
Absolutely.
It's like I get to get in the ring with these guys. All I got to do is make sure I'm out of the way, and then get my 3 count done, get the 10 count going, whatever the case may be.
And to you, I know for me, when you are in the ring, when I'm in the ring, when that's your moment. That's your moment. Whether it's at the independent, bingo hall down the road.
Yep.
I'm in front of 50 million people announcing. I am.
If you could get 50 million people in a bingo hall, I want to.
But anyway, but that's the thing though. It's like you get this adrenaline rush going, and especially when the first time back in October, because I was the guest GM, I got to have my own music, my own entrance. There's nothing like it. I'm telling you, when they say wrestling is a drug, it can be a drug. I'm telling you, it's a drug, and so but anyway, but that's my benefit. I get to be a part of this.
Right.
And the sad part of it is, as much as I want to be a part of it, I can't give back to it like I used to could. I can't give the time and effort that I put into it. I can't do that because usually, like for example, our call time's at 4:00. usually on a show. Mm-hmm. I try to be here between 2 and 3, the best I possibly can. That's the preparation that I put myself into. And then there are times you may not get home till past midnight.
Right.
That's the benefit. That's the nature of the business. And so it just, I've enjoyed it. I love it. I'm always going to love it. I'm always going to be a fan. But as far as me being in the ring, like I said, never say never.
Right.
I may come back and do one-offs, but as far as going full time, as far as being committed, like right now I'm locked in for the May show. See, we got May, July, and September. I may be locked in for those shows. But next year, it's going to be not anymore. I'm not going to be able to do that anymore.
Right. So, he's on his John Cena retirement tour.
Right. You can't see him.
You can't see me.
He's going to turn heel ref.
I'm going to be a heel referee.
That'd be fantastic.
Heel referee.
I was just about to say, leading up into that, and of course, we're certainly thankful and awesome job as being an official, man. Thank you so much for all your support.
I appreciate y'all having me. I'm telling you, that I've had a blast.
On the retirement tour, where can we see you being an official at? I mean, of course, Vapors Championship Wrestling.
Vapors Championship Wrestling. I'm still going to be here till September.
Yep.
IPCW. I've got to get with management and see what the plan is for that, because there's something that I'm not going to announce on the podcast, because I want people to be on the lookout for something else that could possibly go on with IPCW.
He said he wants to referee a triple threat tag team.
I do not want triple threat tag team matches can go down in the dumps and through the toilet. I can't stand them. I absolutely can't stand them. But anyways, so I want to go back to OCW one more time if they'll have me. I've reached out to Heisman. I haven't had anything back. Hopefully I'll hear something back.
Right.
I've got a couple of dates with TNR. I know there's one that's going to be in Searcy at the end of next month in April.
Yep.
Not Ark and Brawl. What's the Hard Riders? I think we're coming back to Hard Riders
March 22nd.
So I will be there because we fly out that that Sunday. So I did tell Robbie I'm planning on being there, and so I am hoping that the last show that I am planning to do at the moment,
right,
is Vapors on September. That's going to be my final show, and I'm okay with that. If I don't go any past further than the first Saturday in September, I'm fine with that. The reason I chose September was because that's when I started, was September 15 years ago.
Okay,
and so I felt like that would have been a great time to say, you know what, 15 years of it, I put the time and effort into it, gave everything I had. And hopefully someone that's listening on this podcast, hopefully some young buck that's wanting to get into this business, that's wanting to take my place, hey, we've got plenty of them. I mean, last show, I thought I was going to be the only referee, and then Brandon showed up. Thank God Brandon showed up. I'm telling y'all, being the only referee for a show when you're 19, 20 years old doing this, it's the best feeling in the world.
Well,
when you're 36, almost 37, you start to feel aches and pains, and you start pulling muscles in your body that you didn't know that you had. So it's time to you need at least 2 or 3 in a show. For sure.
There you go. If you're a fan, if you've been going and checking out the events, man, a great way to get your foot in the door
I will do your training as long as Rich allows it. I'll even do it for free.
Hey, there you go.
That's
awesome, man.
It was done for me for free. At the time, from my understanding, the one that was down the road, which was ASWF, was charging. I can't remember how much they charged, but they were charging quite a bit whenever I was up there.
Right.
And so, of course, things are different now. I have no idea what they're doing now. but I would, like I said, I would love to. And if there's anybody that's out there that has independent promotion, that hey, come check us out. I'll look into it. I'm not going to necessarily 100% commit to anybody else, but you guys,
we appreciate that.
And obviously TNR, and of course Ray. I'll do a show with Ray if he wants me to come up to Paragould and do something with Ray. Because like I said, he's a good dude, and
absolutely,
I'm always open to that. And so we'll see.
He's committed to you, but it's like an open marriage.
That's the thing, and that's the thing that you'll learn very, very quickly. Like WWP, TNR, and VCW, it's all basically one working together. That's all it really is.
We're all partners of our.
I promise you. Here's the thing.
We put the pineapple on the door.
There you go.
Upside down.
Right.
So
the QWO's in.
So here's something else. So I wasn't even there last night. I don't know who was there, who wasn't there besides Rich, because he told me, Rob Father, Ray, I knew all of them were there. But I promise you, you will see just as many people the show last night that you saw at WWE, that you saw here last week.
Yep.
Guarantee it.
Yep.
Because we all come together, we all work together. It's just a big family. You work together, you're part of it, and so it's just one big happy family, and that's what we've made it. That's
So
what we've
Rob
made it.
Father's like that creepy uncle that
Well, man, it's
That's
been
my
great.
guy.
It's been great having you on. Honestly, the last time I had looked at the clock, we were about 15 minutes into the show, and now we're about 10 minutes away from wrapping it up. So
Wow.
thank you all for
that's so
making
much
this
fun.
not the suck fest that I totally thought it was going to be. I think we
That's
did.
a whole different podcast.
All right, I think we definitely have some things that we're I'm sure we'll talk about and implement different segments and stuff. One thing that I do want to talk about, if you are watching this or whenever you're watching this, I do want to spotlight independent talent. So if they have, a highlight match, a highlight reel, something that they think is, just to get their name out there and some eyes on them, and see what can happen. If you're looking for bookings, man, send all that stuff to us. The Intermission1 at gmail.com.
And it's official. You've got an email and everything.
Oh, yeah, man. I thought,
Legit.
I try and think ahead of these things. So, but yeah, please make your submissions. We'll pick one out at random or a few out at random every week to talk about, and we'll go over as the panel. Man, thank you for joining us. I hope you'll come back and check us out. It's been great having you, man.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, like I said, if y'all ever want me on again, whatever, especially
sure.
especially close to retirement time. And so, like I said, I'm trying.
One was enough.
I'm trying. And so, no, I appreciate you being here. Seriously, man, because there's times I started getting emotional a little bit. 'Cause you get emotional about things like
Absolutely,
this. Because,
man.
It's like your life flashes before your eyes, and it's like, man, you're giving this up. Like this is, and that's the thing that sucks about it. You're giving something up that you love, but you got other things on the other side.
It's
that you love
bittersweet.
too. It's
Well,
bittersweet.
I've heard people talk about it when the wrestling business, man. How can you not be romantic about wrestling?
Oh, I'm
it's
telling you.
beautiful. It's
Right.
It's a love.
And
It's a
here's something else. Here's something else about wrestling that people don't understand. You'll go to a movie and you'll pay to see a movie. Wrestling is telling you a movie. It's telling you a story right in front of your face, and you just don't even know it.
Absolutely.
If you want to go watch all the make believe crap, but you don't want to watch wrestling because you think it's the F word, no, don't go pay and see a movie.
And see,
don't stream anything. I'm serious.
I would compare wrestling. Wrestling's not a movie. It's that great television show.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's that episodic television, man. Like every week, or like my wife and I've gotten into the Blacklist.
Oh, yeah, that's a great show.
At the end of every episode, my wife will go, "I have so many questions,"
Yep.
and I'm like, "That's wrestling."
Right.
NCIS, Will Trent. Have you seen Will Trent? Will Trent's funny. I love Will Trent.
I haven't watched that one yet.
The Rookie's real good.
I like the Rookie.
The Rookie's really good. I love the Rookie. And so, yeah, there's a lot of them out there. But
But I
it's
love
like
the Blacklist because at the end of every episode, I have so many questions.
exactly,
And that's
exactly.
been, at the end of every PLE right now,
I have so many questions. What's
So
going
many
on? Yeah.
questions. What are they
Yeah.
going to do with John Cena? What are they going to do with Randy
That's the
Orton?
big
Kevin
one.
Owens? Randy
I was
Orton-
really interested in the whole Jade Cargill coming back.
Yep.
I'm telling y'all right now, I was hoping and praying that it was Bianca that attacked her. And I know that would have been obvious.
Right.
I'm going to tell y'all right now, and I'm very vocal about this. I don't buy into Bianca one bit. And a lot of it has to do with the fact is that her character, I need her character to go heel. I was the same way with Rhea Ripley, with the exception that I think Rhea has a little bit more in-ring talent than what Bianca does. But when Rhea went heel,
Yeah.
I started really buying into her. Bianca needs to go heel for me to buy into her.
Yep.
And because she's just not one of those that I see as this perky, uppy going type of personalities. I just don't see her that way. And so I really do. I really believe she needs a heel turn. She needs a heel.
Along those lines, man, like I love Liv Morgan. I think her character.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yes.
As a heel, and I remember going back and watching her with who was it? She was a part of that trio. It was her and. Oh crap! But when she broke in, she was not very.
Oh,
good.
so the
No.
suicide. Oh gosh. Yeah, they had Ruby and
Ruby Riot. The
yeah,
Ruby Riot,
the
yeah.
Riot Squad. That
Riot
was it. Yeah.
Squad, there you
Yeah.
go.
Her and,
God, I forgot about
Sarah
that,
Logan.
man. It was so.
Sarah Logan.
Yeah.
Sarah
But
Logan, yep.
she was not good. She was terrible.
No, I mean I forgot about it. I was.
Where she's at now, she's
Oh, absolutely.
amazing. I think she's the top heel. She might be the best wrestler they have on the roster. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Her
absolutely.
character work is unmatched.
Yep. Yep.
I thought she was the star of Elimination Chamber. I really did.
Oh, she sold it. She sold.
Oh yeah.
She was awesome.
She sold it. That is for sure. She is awesome.
So, well, man, again, appreciate you. Thank you for joining me, Mikey G. Thanks for being my co-host, man. What'd you think? Are you going to run far away and never come back?
I'm gonna try, but like I said, you blackmailed me. I'm here. I didn't sign the 5-year contract.
All right.
And you've already talked so much crap to Rob Father. Rob Father's got to get his back, so you can't.
It was you. I've never once said a bad word about the Rob Father.
You were out of your mind.
Well, we'll definitely see you back here next Sunday. We'll have some more topics and everything to talk about. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. I don't know. I wouldn't be here without it. Simple as that. So
Throwing up the ones.
there you go.
Yep.
Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure every Sunday we'll be here from noon to 2. Of course, Patrick and the people through the week. I'll be there on Thursday. Dude, midget wrestling, announcing yesterday, debuting podcast today. I'm going to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Are you all
Go
right?
home.
Are you
Go
all
to
right?
sleep.
I am done, man. I am done. Y'all have a good one. Thank you much.